Okay, I just got to looking up a word called multilateral, and I was looking up. I think this is it right here. It is very incompleted list for an official list of update at least annually of U.S. treaties and international agreements are currently in force, and i.e. excluded those some of which are included on this page that that are no longer in force and that are signed but not ratified or otherwise have not yet entered into force, divided between one bilateral bilateral treaties organized by state and then by topics, and two, multilateral treaties, multilateral treaties, organized. Multilateral is another word for some kind of agreement. You see what I'm saying? And multilateral treaties organized by topics. See the annual State Department publication. Pre-Revolutionary War treaties. This is what the so-called America did. I mean, so-called, yeah, America, the so-called white man, because they the one created all these different things. You see what I'm saying? They created this. And then they tricked the native Indians. Treaties of army and commercials, United States, Swelden, treaty, American treaties of army commercials. What agreements did the Europeans make with the Indians? How many American Indian treaties were broken? It's 5,000. I already know the answer. From 100 and, and 778 to 108. That's, wait a minute, 1800 of 100, excuse me, 100, 1,871, 1,871. So that's one, two, 100, 100, and 1,778 to 100 and 1,871. The United States government entered into more than 500 treaties with the Native American tribes, but all of these treaties have been violated. They have been violated some way or outright broken by the U.S. government, while at least one treaty was voted or broken by the Native American tribes. That means they made promises, came in and took this land from the indigenous people. And so this is the origin of the reason why. And I want y'all to get this here. I may not be saying much that you want us to hear, and this is the reason why I'm gonna read something to you at the Bible. I'm coming from I'm gonna quote from, I believe, Zephaniah, and I want y'all to get this in. Don't sit up and argue with me over something that you can go and look up for yourself. This is how they tricked us because we're weak when it comes to, we don't like to look up things for ourselves. Okay, wait a minute. The word of the Lord, which came to Zephaniah, the son of Cushai, the son of Gehiah, the son of Amri, the son of Hezekiah, in the days of Josiah, the son of Amos, king of Judah. king of Judah. I will utterly consume all things from off the land, said the Lord. And I will consume man and beast, and I will consume the fowls of the heavens and the fishes of the sea, and the stumbling blocks with the wicked, and I will cut off man from off the land, said the Lord. I will also stretch out my hand upon Judah and upon all the habitation of Jerusalem, and I will cut off the remnant of Baal from this place. Baal, that's the so-called white man stuff. And the name of the Chirams, or Cherims with the priests, and them that worship the hosts of heaven upon the housetops, and them that worship that swear by the Lord, and that swear by Malcolm, and them that are turned back from the Lord, and those that have not sought the Lord, are not inquired for him. Hold thy peace at the presence of the Lord God, for the day of the Lord is at hand. For the Lord had prepared a sacrifice. He had bid his guests. And it shall come to pass in that day, in the day of the Lord's sacrifice, that I will punish the princes and the king's children, and all such as are clothed with strange apparel. That means that he's talking to Israel. He's saying, if we are doing everything that these other nations are doing, and are clothed with a strange apparel, woman having pants on, we indulging in white supremacist homosexuality, he said all that stuff gonna be cut off. All right, now I done went into more than what I was supposed to done. Now let me go and look and show you all about these. They made over 5,000 treaties with the native and indigenous people over here. And this is Thanksgiving. You celebrating the killing of your own people. Let's look at this. All right, let's look at verse 1. Zephaniah, I read Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1. Gather yourselves together. Yea, gather yourselves, gather together, O nation not desired. Before the decree being forth, bring forth before the day pass, as the chaff before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you. It says, come upon you before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you. Before the decree bring forth, before the day pass, as the chaff before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you. Before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you. Seek ye the Lord while ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be that ye shall be hidden in the day of the Lord's anger. Okay. I want to make sure that I'm saying that word correctly. Let's look at this here. What is CHERETHITES? Okay, Karatites. All right, now let me go ahead on and read this. I took too long, man. All right, let's look at Zephaniah chapter 2. And oh, wait a minute, I'm in the wrong place. But it's all right. I can come back there. It's all good. Habakkuk. Okay, I was in Zephaniah, but Habakkuk is talking about the same thing. Look what has happened. Look what happened to the Indians when they trusted those Europeans and made them treaties with them Indians, and look what happened to them. The result. For woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establish a city by iniquity. Behold, it is not of the Lord of hosts that the people shall labor in the very fire, and the people shall weary themselves for very vanity. Okay, this is talking about woe unto him that buildeth up a town with blood, and establish a city by iniquity. Did the white folks do that? Look how Dylan Roof went into that church in 2015 and shot and killed 9 black people in cold blood. In the Bible, the Cherethites and the Palestinians, former also stale Ketur, the Kortites, are two ethnic group, and the Levite, I don't know, Levant, their identity has not been determined with certainty. The Cherethites are mentioned independently 3 times as the Cherethites, and the Pelethites 7 times. Okay, so the Indians made 500 treaties. Let's go to what's that text? Psalms chapter 55. Psalms 55. Let's go there. Psalm 55 verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn sword. Listen to this part here. The first part, Psalm 55 and 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter. Now think about this here. Now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna read a little bit of this here about the treaties. How many American treaties, how many American, I'm sorry, my bad. How many Americans Indian treaties were broken? From 1,778 to 100, to 1,871. 1,778 to 1,871. The United States government entered into more than 500 treaties with the Native American tribes. All of these treaties have since been violated. The same way are outright broken by the U.S. government, while at last one treaty was violated or broken by the Native American tribes. Which branch can approve treaties? Alexander Humanity argued that the exclusive branches should exercise power to relent to foreign relations, and should therefore have the power to make treaties with the advice and appropriability of the Satanic. In the end, arguments prove most persuasive. Why is the Native American treaty? What Indian tribes was the first to sign a treaty with the new U.S. government in 1778? The Treaty of Fort Pitt, also known as the treaty with the the dealers. I don't even know how. Okay, Dilworth Treaties of the Fourth. Treaty Treaty was signed on September the 17th, 1778, and was the first written treaty between the new unity, United States of America and American Indians. So yeah, I'm from the arrival of European in the 17th century through the era of the early Republican treaties were important tools. What is a treaty? Indian country. To understand what a treaty is, we must first understand the concept of sovereignty. Sovereignty is the right of a group of people to be safe government, safe governing. Nations such as the United States, Germany, Japan, and Mexico are sovereign and nations completely independent of any other political power within their borders. They have what is called absolute sovereignty. Sovereignty centers often found it necessary to make agreements with other sovereign powers. One of the ways that they do that is to uh, negotiate treaties. That's right. This is what they try to make it sound good, negotiate treaties. Now, what I'm fixing to do, I'm finna go to the book of, I think it's Proverbs or Job. I'm getting them mixed up. I think it's Job, the book of Job, though. I believe in it. The book of Job. Oh, I was right. Proverbs chapter 26 and verse 25. When he speaketh fair, believe him not, for there are seven abominations in his heart, whose hatred is covered by deceit. His hatred is covered by the. Now, notice that. Talking about the so called white man in the other nation, whose hatred is covered by deceit. His wickedness shall be shown before the whole congregation. Whoso diggeth a pit, did not they dig a pit for us? Shall fall therein. He that is rolling a stone, it will return upon him. A lying tongue, a lying tongue hate those that are afflicted by it. A lying tongue hate those that are afflicted by it. And a flattering mouth worketh ruin. So that means a lying tongue hateth those that are afflicted by it. That means that if you're afflicted, they get a rejoicing out of. One of the ways that they do is one of the ways that they do that is to negotiate treaties. These are formal agreements between the two or more sovereign powers that owe that that obligated their governments to perform certain actions embodied and the provision of the agreement, so everyone understands and knows the provisions. The treaty is written down and signed by all the part the portions that negotiated and agreed to it. Treaties can have many different purposes. Some are written so that two or more countries can form an alliance against a common enemy. Other treaties are used to establish a condition for peace between nations that formerly had been at war. Still, other treaties are used to com- comment, commit commercial and trade relationships between different sovereign powers. When you're, I want y'all to listen to this. When the Europeans first came to North and South America, they usually although not always, treated the Indian tribes that they encountered as sovereign and independent political powers. The French and the English both treated the Indians of North America in this respect because they saw that the Indian people had their own forms of government, their own land leaders, and their own homeless. Of course, Indians governments were organized differently than Europe governments, but they existed nonetheless. And for this reason, both the French and English entered into many treaties with the Indians. Let's look. But they existed nonetheless. And for this reason, both the French and English entered into treaties with the Indians. This is how we got deceived. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. And I'm going to see y'all tomorrow. Hopefully this video came out good because I read most of the time. I feel like I did. All right. Peace. I'm out.